right, thanks, Leslie. You know, millennials are not leaving the nest. I'm not sure that's too much of a surprise, but a new study does say more than a third still live with mom and dad. The Pew Research study says that's more than any time in the last 40 years. Jean Dorrell from TheSmartMoneyGal.com is here to talk about that study and what millennials might be able to do to change some of those stats. So I'm not sure it's that big of a surprise that they're there, but perhaps the fact that so many of them are.
21 million are living with their parents, and some of them never left to begin with.
What are the causes of this?
Well, we've seen a lot of things happening. One is the declining employment. So while millennials are employed, they may be underemployed because more baby boomers are staying in the workforce, which is leading them to go back to college. So kids that are in college tend to move home to save money.
Right.
And they're also putting off milestones like declining marriage. 15% of millennials said they're putting off getting married, buying a home, saving for retirement. So this is what's causing it.
So I guess the question is there anything that can be done? I mean, underemployment is something we talk about all the time. We see these unemployment numbers that supposedly are getting better, but they don't take into account underemployment.
Correct.
So what do they do? What do you do?
Well, you need to start saving. If you're a millennial, you need to save for your retirement and quit spending and looking for instant gratification. This is a group that has to buy the latest and greatest gadget, and studies show they spend about $800 a month on their entertainment and eating out. So I think if you're the parent of this millennial at home, you've got to start setting limits and maybe charge them rent. And moms, quit paying their cell phones, because half of the moms out there are still paying their millennial cell phone.
Do we have any kind of data showing us what moms and dads and grandparents that are having these millennials live in their house think about it and are doing?
Well, they're tolerating it, but I wouldn't necessarily say tolerance equals happiness. So, you know, we always hear about this empty nest syndrome, and now what we're calling it is the no rest syndrome, when your kids are moving back in with you. So they need to learn to say no and set limits. And another thing that the study showed was that 3% of millennials that were married, only 3% moved back in. So maybe parents and grandparents need to encourage them to get married.
I got to tell you, as a father of 8- and 6-year-old sons, I just can't imagine ever the day coming where I don't want my kids in the house, but it happens. Is this all bad news for this Gen Y group?
No, there's a lot of good news. One is they're young enough, so they have time on their hands, but don't wait. Start saving now. They also are confident. 70% of millennials say that they'll have a better standard of living than their parents. However, we've got to get down to reality, and you need to start saving. Best way to do that, go to my website at TheSmartMoneyGal.com. There's a retirement calculator there for both the parents and the kids to see if they're saving enough for retirement.
It's really never too early.
Never too
once
early.
You're in the workforce. Jean Dorrell, thank you. Always good to have you here.